Hey, you. Yes, you, lady lawyer. I'm talking to you. Okay. Did you know that you are indispensable to the people who love you, but not to the people who pay you? Yeah. Yeah, that one really took a while to sink in, but it's true. You are indispensable to the people who love you, not the people who pay you. And that is what started me on the Livable Law Method, on creating a system of practice management that prioritized preserving people's bandwidth and allowing them to come to work, come to their profession as the best that they could be without exploiting them into oblivion. Did you know that women have staggering rates of burnout? Yeah, over 80%. That should make you angry. And you know why it really matters to me? Because burnout breaks you in ways that do not heal. And I know that because I have 2 burnouts and 4 kids under my belt. And I am fully aware that there are frailties and bruises and harm that will never quite go away. And that the only entities and people that benefited from my burnout are employers that I do not care about in the least. And the people who suffer from those frailties and weaknesses and bruises are me and the people I love, because it makes me just a little bit different than I used to be. And that sucks. Now, my marketing team told me I needed to come up with a webinar that really sells my courses. And I hate doing that. I don't want to sell you a course. I don't. I want to drag you into a paradigm shift. I want to change your life. I want you to have the tools and tricks and tips and philosophies that I share in my course, because I think they will make your life better. And because if they make your life better, you will share them with another woman and then another woman and then another woman, and we will change the face of the legal profession. That's what I want. If I'm selling anything, that's it. So I started the Livable Law Method because I thought there had to be a better way. I knew there's a better way, and I just wanted to create a standardized methodology with tips and tricks and philosophies that made the world a better place. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Livable Law Method. And if I have any impact on you, if anything resonates, if anything clicks, then buy the course, please. You're worth it. The investment is worth it. And I think it'll make your life better. One of the best things about doing what I do is when I get emails, completely unsolicited emails from people, men and women, by the way, who tell me, you changed my life. I really had a reckoning. I changed my practice. I'm better off for having taken your course. And that's what I want for you. So, the course itself is divided into 3 pillars: the management of time, the management of tasks, and the management of things. And it is more or less technical. Some things are more practical, some things are more philosophical. But overall, I think there's a good mix of helping you not only find specific techniques and methodologies that you can implement, but then also giving you a sense of what your methodologies should look like, should feel like, so that if whatever I'm giving you is not exactly what you need for your practice, it'll put you on the right track to develop something that is. So, under management of time, we're going to talk about Scrum meetings. We're going to introduce you to the task matrix, and we are going to talk about internal deadlines. Now, management of time, the Scrum meetings is really a key change. And honestly, you could start implementing it today. You could implement it after this webinar. So Scrum is a 15-minute daily meeting. I didn't make it up. Other industries use that regularly. Just the law doesn't. And I thought that was nonsense because it's a great tool and it works really well. So the Scrum is a 15-minute daily meeting. You have it at the same time every day. It can be remote. It's great remote. You can do it in person. That's fine too. It's also called a stand-up meeting because people are expected to stand during it if it's in person, just to indicate how short it is. We're not just going to come here and waste our time. Each person has about 90 seconds to cover 4 items. And a scrum is usually composed of 5 to 9 people. If you need more than that, there's ways and approaches to do that, and you should take the course to figure out how to do that. But really, scrum is 5 to 9 people. Each person during their 90 seconds expresses 4 things. what they've done since the last meeting yesterday, what they're going to do before the next meeting tomorrow, any asks they have of anybody on the team. Hey, can you do so and so? Can you do that? I need somebody to write this up for me. And then stucks. Anything that has you stuck, that you just can't get over, that you're just stuck. And then the whole team has about 30 seconds to get you unstuck. And if it takes more than 30 seconds, guess what? We're going to have a meeting just for that issue. But right there, you filter down to what really needs to be a meeting and what doesn't. The great thing about the Scrum is that what does it do? It alleviates bandwidth. You know I was going to go there. Well, if you didn't, now you know. It helps your bandwidth. Why? Because all of that chatter that takes up your time and energy throughout the day or the week or the month. Can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? Are you working on this task? How far along are you on this thing? Have you been able to get to that? Hey, I really can't get this done. Can so and so do this? All that's gone. Just hold on to it. You're going to meet everybody tomorrow at the same time every day. You're going to be able to ask them. You're going to be able to tell them. You're going to be able to exchange information. That's a great way to preserve your bandwidth. The next thing is we're going to talk about the task matrix. Now, the task matrix is in the humble Excel spreadsheet. You know why? Because everybody's got access to a spreadsheet. Now, there's lots of different softwares that track tasks or manage tasks, whatever. They're great. But the point of the task matrix is that either you can start using the Excel spreadsheet, great, or you can implement the ideas, the techniques that I would use in the Excel spreadsheet to whatever web app you're using. Okay, so what's the point of the task matrix? The task matrix is going to have the case matter name right there, and then you're going to have the description of the task. And then you're going to have the RACI system. So RACI is responsible, accountable, confer, and inform. And that's in pillar 2 that we really delve into it. So I'm not going to go into it right now, but there's a way you can manage how you actually assign tasks. And then you're going to have your internal deadline and your external deadline. Which brings me to the third thing I really hammer home. Your law firm needs to have internal deadlines. That's just the way it is. So what's an internal deadline? Internal deadline is real. Internal deadline is by when the work is going to be completed, and it is 3 to 5 business days before the external universe deadline. You know what that's really good for? Stress. It's really good to decrease stress, and you know what that helps with? Bandwidth. Less of your emotional, intellectual energy going to stress. Stress is a devourer of bandwidth. You can do nothing, and if you are stressed enough, it'll eat up your bandwidth anyway. You'll be curt and short and impatient and angry and upset and anxious and depressed because your bandwidth is gone and depleted. Internal deadlines are a critical way to make sure that everybody is working towards a comfortable finishing point. No more late nights. No more. You're done. No more endless amount of work that you're doing because you're so afraid you're going to crash and burn into an impossible to meet external deadline. Enough with that. We're going to schedule and time our work so that we can comfortably meet an internal deadline that is 3 to 5 days away from the external deadline anyway. That is just a taste of what you will learn in the first pillar of the Livable Law Method. Then there's the second pillar, which is the management of tasks. Here we take a deep dive into the task matrix. How, there are rules around the task matrix. How you write a task, how you assign a task, how you break down a task, right? Draft this brief. Okay, that's got a bunch of subparts. Those subparts will have to be assigned and timed because that is how you ensure that everything is assigned to a certain person with a certain timing. That is how you make maximum use of your task matrix. It helps you really understand what it is that you're doing, who is doing what when, and who is going to be keying off each other to get work done. The other thing that I love is the backlog. The backlog is where all of the ideas that you have but that don't have a deadline go to live. And why do we want a backlog? We want a backlog because what? It relieves your bandwidth. If you have a backlog, guess what you're not doing? You're not thinking about those tasks that need to be done but are not written anyway because they're in the backlog. And it's also a great way to have a list of items that people can pick up when they're running light. Maybe someone says, hey, this week, I'm kind of waiting on stuff. My deadlines are done. My work is done, or I'm waiting on someone else to turn stuff into me. How about I go to the backlog and pick something out of there and get it done? It's a fantastic way to have a repository of stuff that needs to get done in a way that nobody forgets about them. And then we're going to delve into the RACI system. It's either RACI or LACI, it doesn't really matter. But basically understanding that for every task, someone is responsible, someone is accountable, someone may need to be conferred with, and someone needs to be kept informed. And what does this help with? This helps with transparency, clarity, organization, and it allows everybody to understand what is happening. There's no more dropped conferrals, there's no more ambiguity about who is doing what. Everything is very clearly assigned to individuals within your team. And then there's the third pillar. And I cannot encourage you strongly enough to take this course, even just for the third pillar. The third pillar, we talk about the document life cycle. Do you know what that is? Do documents have a life cycle when they reach your firm? Do you know where they go, how they get saved, where they get saved, how they get labeled, how they get tracked? Do you know that? Because if you don't, that is a chaos brewing. You know what chaos does? It uses up your bandwidth. Importantly, in a number of ways. One, it's in the back of your head that there is chaos there. And because we're high performing individuals, it's going to bother us. That uses up brain power. But the other thing about a chaotic document organization system is that everybody is wasting inordinate amounts of time and energy and creating frustration and resentment over asking each other, where's that document? Where's this document? Can you send me that document? Can you send me this document? I can't find this. What is it labeled as? Was it named? We're done with that. The document life cycle, if you get your members of your firm to take this course as well, you're always going to be on the same page. This is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it. Which brings me to organizing a case file. The organization of your matter file or a case file itself is a method of communication. If I came off the street and I opened up your matter file or your case file, can I tell what's happening in your matter without opening any of the documents? The answer should be yes. The answer often is no. Why? There's no standardized organization. There's no standardizing naming convention, and the matter files are not all the same. That needs to be gone. That is using team bandwidth. The disorganization is exhausting. And it's not rocket science. It just needs to be standardized. So I give you a standardized format. If you don't like it, take it and change it. I don't care. But if everybody's on the same page about where documents get saved, how they get named, where do versions go, where do drafts go, where do finals go, you have just decreased the amount of chatter and chaos and confusion and frustration within your firm by orders of magnitude. And then the third thing, which is probably one of my favorite things I came up with, is the ESI tracking sheet. The ESI tracking sheet, again, exists in the humble Excel spreadsheet. It is a database for everything that comes into your firm. You're going to be able to put the Bates prefix, the Bates numbers, and in this day and age, there is no excuse for not Bates labeling everything that comes into your firm. Why? Because unique numeric identifiers are far more precise than any title or name you're going to give to any document. Then you're going to have a name of a document. Maybe you're going to have some attorney notes. Do I like this document? Do I not like this document? Do I want to save it? Do I want to maybe address it some way, somehow? And then we have all of these other very important columns. When it was produced, by who it was produced, who was it produced to, when you received it, from whom. And then you can also put attorney, client, and work product privilege, very important. Then you can mark any redactions that have to be made. And there's tips and tricks on how to make sure that that is communicated. When something was redacted, whether it was redacted. You know why I love the ESI tracking sheet? I'm going to tell you. Do you need a privilege log? Oh, because that turns into a privilege log in under 10 minutes. Do you need an exhibit list? Because that's your exhibit list. Did you need a timeline of events to depose someone or ask questions or draft a brief? Guess what? That turns into it if you sort it by date. Do you need a deposition exhibit list? Guess what? Again, just mark off which deposition you want this for. Boom, sort it, send it off to someone to assemble the documents. And you know why they're easy to find? Because they're all numerically labeled by Bates number. Easy to find, easy to collect, easy to identify, easy to track. The ESI tracking sheet is a game changer. I've used it in big firms. I used it in small firms. I used it for commercial cases. I used it for police brutality cases. I used it for family law cases. For any type of case, an ESI tracking sheet changes everything. I want you to take this course because I want your life to be better. I really mean that. I really mean that. I think I am giving you value, and I want you to have that because I am tired of seeing our profession lose women. It infuriates me. We are brilliant. We do so much good work. We are such amazing leaders. We are thoughtful. We are smart. Why the heck are we being driven out of this profession? Because it is archaic. Join me in the Livable Law Method. Take this course, change your life, and change the profession. That is what I want for all of us.